My boss's son sabotaged my career to take credit for my project. Now I'm the industry leader, and he applies for entry level at my company. When I was 27 years old, I poured every ounce of my passion and expertise into developing a groundbreaking artificial intelligence tool for digital marketing that had the potential to completely transform how brands connected with consumers in ways never seen before. My boss's entitled son, who had just graduated college with zero real-world experience, stole the credit by deliberately sabotaging my final presentation, deleting critical files, and framing me for gross incompetence in front of the entire executive team and investors. I was fired in total disgrace, blacklisted across the industry, and plunged into the darkest period of my life where everything I had worked for seemed lost forever. 12 years later, as the founder and chief executive officer of the world's dominant marketing platform, valued at $8 billion, he submitted an application for an entry-level position at my company, desperate, broke, divorced, and completely oblivious that I was the one personally reviewing resumes. The revenge played out flawlessly, exposing his decade-old lies to the entire industry. While I had built an unbreakable empire on the very innovation he once tried to bury under his father's protection. My name is Ryan Keller, and I grew up in a solid middle-class family in Chicago, where both my parents were dedicated public school teachers who instilled in me, from a very early age, the values of hard work, honesty, and integrity that guided every decision I made. I was that kid who spent hours tinkering with computers, building simple websites at 12, and coding my own mobile apps during high school summers while my friends were out playing sports or hanging at the mall. Thanks to academic scholarships and relentless determination, I earned a place at Carnegie Mellon University studying computer science, and graduated near the top of my class with honors and several prestigious awards that opened doors I never dreamed possible. Fresh out of college, I landed what felt like my absolute dream job at Visionary Analytics, a hot rising startup in the digital marketing space that was making waves with early artificial intelligence applications and attracting massive venture capital. My first few years at the company were nothing short of exhilarating, as I advanced rapidly from junior developer to senior engineer, and by age 26, I was leading a small but talented team on high-impact projects that directly influenced company direction. That was when I became completely obsessed with an idea I called Predictive Pulse, an advanced artificial intelligence system capable of predicting consumer behavior with 95% accuracy by analyzing real-time data streams using sophisticated machine learning algorithms and strictly ethical data sourcing methods that avoided privacy violations. I worked on it tirelessly for months, spending countless late nights and weekends refining the core algorithms, running endless simulations, and building prototypes that consistently blew away internal testers and executives during early demos, earning praise and excitement from everyone who saw it. The company was led by Mr. Harlan Grant, a traditional old-school chief executive who had built the firm from the ground up and was generally respected for being fair, though demanding in his expectations for results and performance. His only son, Ethan Grant, was 22 years old, fresh out of a mediocre business program at a state university, and had been brought in as an intern. Despite having virtually no technical skills or relevant experience in the field, Ethan was the classic spoiled nepotism high. He showed up late, partied excessively, took long lunches, and acted entitled around everyone, expecting special treatment simply because of his last name. Harlan always defended him, saying it was about building family legacy and giving his son a chance to learn the business from the ground up, even if he started slow. Because Harlan explicitly instructed me to mentor Ethan as part of his integration into the company, I reluctantly included him in team meetings and occasionally shared progress updates on Predictive Pulse with him, thinking it was the professional thing to do. I showed him early prototypes, explained the key algorithms in simple terms, and even let him sit in on some brainstorming sessions, believing it would help him learn and perhaps contribute in small ways to the project. Ethan always seemed engaged, nodding enthusiastically and asking what appeared to be intelligent questions, so I genuinely believed he was absorbing the material and that I was doing my part to support the boss's wishes without compromising my work. The turning point came when the company scheduled a major investor day to secure a $20 million funding round that would fuel our next growth phase and take us to the next level. Predictive Pulse was positioned as the centerpiece project for innovation that would set us apart from competitors and justify the massive valuation increase we were seeking from top-tier venture capitalists. I spent weeks preparing the perfect pitch deck with stunning visuals, live demos, and detailed financial projections showing how the tool could generate hundreds of millions in new revenue for clients within the first few years. The night before the big event, I finalized everything, ran multiple test runs, and created several redundant backups on local drives, cloud storage, and even a USB stick just to be safe because I knew how high the stakes were. The morning of the presentation arrived and I walked into the conference room feeling confident and excited, ready to showcase the work that could change my career forever. But as soon as I plugged in my laptop and opened the files, disaster struck in the worst possible way. Critical project files were corrupted or completely missing, backup folders were empty. The live demo code threw endless errors and the slide deck was filled with blank pages and broken images that made no sense. Investors shifted uncomfortably in their seats, whispering among themselves, while Harlan's face turned red with fury, demanding an explanation for the complete failure. I had none. I was in complete shock, frantically trying to recover anything, but nothing worked, and time was running out. That was when Ethan casually stepped forward with his own laptop, announcing he had a backup version he had prepared just in case something went wrong. He launched a polished presentation that was 99% my work, with only minor cosmetic tweaks, and delivered it smoothly, taking full credit as the lead developer in front of everyone. The investors were impressed. The demo ran flawlessly and the funding round was secured on the spot, with enthusiastic commitments totaling even more than we asked for. In the private meeting immediately afterward, Harlan tore into me, calling it gross negligence and an embarrassment to the company in front of potential partners. He presented supposed evidence, including emails allegedly from me admitting to taking shortcuts and skipping proper testing protocols, emails I had never written or sent in my life. Several junior team members who were friendly with Ethan backed his story, claiming they had seen me slacking off in recent weeks and not putting in the effort required. Harlan gave Ethan an immediate promotion to head the new Predictive Pulse division, with a massive bonus and public praise, while I was fired on the spot with minimal severance, a non-disclosure agreement, and a neutral reference that effectively blacklisted me across the tight-knit tech community where word travels fast. The betrayal crushed me completely, sending me into a deep depression where I spent months in therapy, barely able to get out of bed or function normally. I moved back into my parents' basement in Chicago with no savings, no job prospects, and a reputation in tatters as rumors spread that I was unreliable and had tried to take credit for someone else's work. Freelance gigs were few and far between, paying just enough to cover basics, but nothing more, leaving me feeling trapped and hopeless. But deep inside, a fire began to burn brighter than ever. I refused to let Ethan's theft define my future or destroy the dream I had worked so hard to build. In secret, I took the original Predictive Pulse concept and refined it relentlessly, fixing every flaw that their rushed version would inevitably have, adding cutting-edge features like real-time privacy compliance, adaptive learning, and advanced predictive modeling that made it even more powerful and accurate. By age 29, I had a working prototype ready that outperformed anything on the market. Using every penny of savings and maxed-out credit cards, I bootstrapped a new company called Keller Insights, starting in my parents' garage with just trusted friends from college who believed in me and my vision. The early days were brutal, constant rejections from investors, near bankruptcy multiple times, and endless nights debugging code while delivering food to pay bills just to keep the lights on. But the breakthrough came when we offered beta access to a handful of small brands, and the results were nothing short of insane, delivering for 100% return on investment. In the first quarter alone, with testimonials pouring in, word spread like wildfire through marketing forums, industry groups, and social media. Suddenly, we had waiting lists of companies begging for access. By age 32, we secured series of funding of $10 million from visionary investors who saw the massive potential and believed in my story. We scaled the team, opened proper offices in San Francisco, and rebranded the platform as FUII, establishing it as the undisputed industry standard that everyone talked about. Growth became exponential. Fortune 500 clients lined up, major integrations, with social platforms and advertising networks driving revenue through the roof. By age 38, we went public with an initial public offering that valued the company at $8 billion, making me the majority shareholder, with a personal net worth in the billions overnight. Forbes featured me on the cover as the quiet disruptor. TED Talk invitations poured in, and industry awards stacked up recognizing the innovation that changed everything. On a personal level, I met Eleanor, a sharp investigative journalist who understood my drive and supported me through the final push. We married, had 2 beautiful children, and I channeled wealth into philanthropy, creating scholarships specifically for talented engineers from non-privileged backgrounds who might otherwise be overlooked in favor of nepotism hires. Meanwhile, Harlan's original firm stagnated badly under Ethan's leadership. Their version of Predictive Pulse was riddled with bugs and security issues, leading to lost clients, scandals, and declining revenue. The company was eventually acquired by a competitor for a fraction of its former value, marking the end of an era. Ethan's life unraveled. He was fired multiple times, accumulated massive gambling debts, and went through a messy divorce that left him broke and alone with nothing to show for his stolen glory. Then one ordinary Tuesday, my human resources team flagged an application that made my blood run cold with recognition. The name Ethan Grant, applying for an entry-level data analyst position at FUII. His resume was thin, references weak and full of gaps, showing years of instability. Human resources noted the obvious nepotism vibe from his past, but said he met minimum qualifications on paper. They had no idea who he was to me personally. I recognized the name instantly and felt a surge of long-suppressed anger, mixed with cold satisfaction knowing this was the opportunity I had waited for, without even realizing it. The interview process was designed to be anonymous in early stages, but I quietly ensured his application advanced through each round, until the final step, a personal meeting with the chief executive officer. The day arrived and Ethan walked into the executive boardroom confident in his cheap suit, ready to charm his way into stability and a fresh start. He froze the moment he saw me sitting at the head of the table with the city skyline behind me. "Ethan," I said with a calm smile, "it's been a long time." He stammered, turning pale as recognition hit. "Ryan, you're here." I leaned back in my chief executive officer chair. "This is my company." His face drained of color completely. "Congratulations." I didn't know. I probed gently but firmly. "Why apply here of all places in the world?" He shifted, uncomfortably searching for words. "Need stability, past mistakes catching up, lesson learned hardware." I pulled out a thick folder and slid it across the polished table with deliberate slowness. Inside were screenshots of the old forged emails recovered from server backups. I had quietly subpoenaed years earlier as precaution, witness statements from former colleagues who had since joined my company, and even forensic analysis of the corrupted files showing metadata timestamps of Ethan's late-night access the night before the presentation. "These mistakes?" I asked quietly, watching his reaction. He broke almost immediately, tears welling up as the weight crashed down. "Dad pressured me. I was scared of failure and letting him down." Harlan was involved deeper than I imagined. Yes, he had directed the entire sabotage to secure the win for family legacy and position Ethan as the rising star. I offered him a deal, one chance at partial redemption that would close the chapter for good, record a full public apology video admitting the theft, detailing the sabotage, and giving me sole credit as the true creator, or I would reject the application and release that evidence myself to the media and industry contacts. Desperate, cornered, and with no options left, he agreed without hesitation. We recorded it right there in the office with professional lighting and sound to make it undeniable. Ethan on camera, tearful and contrite, confessing everything, including his father's orchestration, and calling me the true genius behind the technology that built an empire worth billions. He posted it across LinkedIn, YouTube, and major industry forums, tagging both himself and Harlan for maximum visibility. The video went massively viral, accumulating 30 million views in the first week alone, with shares from influencers, journalists, and tech leaders. The hashtag TechTheft trended globally for days. Journalists swarmed for comments, and the entire industry was shocked at the revelation of such blatant nepotism and intellectual property theft at a once respected firm. Harlan's remaining reputation was utterly destroyed overnight. Any lingering consulting roles or board positions evaporated as companies distanced themselves from the nepotism poison scandal, refusing to be associated. Ethan became permanently blacklisted. No reputable tech company would touch him again, no matter how desperate he became. My company experienced a massive sympathy surge. Stock price jumped 20% in days, as clients and partners praised our commitment to integrity and ethics in a field full of cutthroat competition. On a personal note, Eleanor wrote a devastating expose on nepotism in tech that was shortlisted for a Pulitzer, bringing even more positive attention to our story. I expanded our foundation, mentoring victims of workplace theft and sabotage, providing resources that helped many rebuild their careers. One additional twist: Harlan confronted me at an industry conference shortly after, screaming that I had destroyed his son in front of shocked attendees. Security escorted him out while I simply replied that he had destroyed himself and his son through their own actions, and I had only revealed the truth. His lawsuit threats were quickly shut down by my legal team with a countersuit for harassment that settled quietly, with them paying substantial damages to my foundation. Ethan spiraled, briefly entering rehab for gambling addiction, but emerged taking menial sales jobs completely outside the tech world where no one knew his past. I continued expanding to my ethics division, setting new industry standards that others scrambled to follow and adopt. My kids learned early lessons in coding and ethics, with me always emphasizing earn your code and never take what isn't yours. UsePast and FUII continued to dominate the market with relentless acquisitions and innovations that pushed the boundaries of what artificial intelligence could achieve in marketing and beyond. The company valuation soared to $25 billion as we pioneered global standards for ethical artificial intelligence, transforming the entire field into something privacy-focused, truly consumer-friendly, and incredibly profitable for clients who saw unprecedented returns. Harlan's health deteriorated rapidly after the scandal, leaving him in a nursing home, with all assets liquidated to cover debts, legal fees, and the fallout from his ruined reputation. His last desperate attempt was a handwritten letter begging for a small investment in some vague new venture for old times' sake that arrived at my office one rainy afternoon. I shredded it without a second thought, knowing mercy would only enable the patterns that destroyed so many lives, including his own. Ethan remained on my peripheral radar, occasionally viewing my LinkedIn posts, but never daring to reach out directly until one anonymous message through a mutual connection, asking if I would speak at his small leadership seminar, pro bono, as a redemption story for his audience. I declined politely, but made an anonymous donation to the venue, not out of kindness, but as a final gesture of closure, letting him tell his version, while the world already knew the undeniable truth. On the positive side, I aggressively hired and promoted other victims of workplace sabotage and nepotism, creating fast-track programs that turned overlooked talent into company leaders and role models. Our internal culture became legendary, with a strict policy that credit must always be given where it is due, no exceptions, and regular audits to prevent any hint of favoritism. Family life with Eleanor flourished as we renewed our vows in an intimate ceremony, surrounded only by true friends and no trace of nepotism or drama from the past. Our children thrived, with the eldest already securing a summer internship at FUII, through merit alone, proving the values we instilled daily in action. I made it a tradition in annual keynote speeches to share the full story, starting anonymized and then revealing details to inspire thousands of employees and viewers worldwide about resilience, ethical leadership, and the power of truth. If you have ever been stolen from in the workplace, remember to document everything, obsessively rebuild your vision even bigger, and let time expose the thieves naturally. Thieves eventually fall, while true innovators rise and stay on top. True credit is always earned, never taken by force or deception. An empire built on truth and hard work becomes completely unbreakable. Life's ultimate code is simple: input relentless hard work and integrity, then output undeniable justice. As the dust finally settled from Ethan's explosive viral confession video, the entire tech world erupted in a chain reaction I could never have fully predicted. Former colleagues from Visionary Analytics reached out in droves, some offering heartfelt apologies for believing the old rumors, while others shared their own hidden stories of suffering under Harlan's nepotism regime. Several highly skilled engineers who had quietly left Harlan's sinking ship over the years submitted applications to FUII, bringing with them invaluable insider knowledge that accelerated our dominance even further. Within a single year, we strategically acquired the remaining fragments of Visionary Analytics for pennies on the dollar, effectively absorbing and restructuring what was left of the company that had once tried to destroy me. Harlan Grant's downfall was swift, brutal, and utterly public. Board members and investors distanced themselves, immediately pulling out of any lingering ventures and quietly removing him from every advisory role he had clung to for prestige and income. The last reliable reports placed him selling the family estate at a massive loss to cover mounting debts and moving into a modest condominium in Florida, far from the industry spotlight. There were no more high-profile golf club confrontations or networking events. He simply became a forgotten ghost in the world he once believed he owned. Ethan's path proved far rockier and more self-inflicted. The public confession cost him every last professional connection he had desperately clung to, forcing him to bounce between low-paying sales jobs, completely outside the tech ecosystem, while racking up even more debt from lingering vices. Therapy and rehab helped him achieve sobriety and curb the gambling, but the permanent stain of that admission meant no reputable company would ever risk associating with him again. A few years down the line, he launched a small independent consulting firm, ironically focused on ethical leadership training, using his own spectacular failure as the primary cautionary tale. The business achieved modest success serving non-tech clients, but he would never again touch high-level innovation or the industry that rejected him so thoroughly. My empire, on the other hand, soared to heights I could scarcely have imagined back in those dark basement days. FUII solidified its position as the undisputed gold standard for predictive marketing, trusted and used by every major global brand, deeply integrated into social platforms, advertising networks, and even licensed to governments for ethical public campaigns. The company valuation climbed steadily to $25 billion, and I diversified aggressively into adjacent fields like artificial intelligence for social good, developing free tools for non-profits, advanced disaster prediction systems, and equitable education platforms. Time magazine named me one of the most influential people. Davos invitations became annual, and industry keynotes turned into standing ovations. On a deeply personal level, Eleanor and I built the beautiful, stable life I once thought impossible. Our children, 2 boys and a girl, grew up surrounded by values I wished had been modeled for me. Earlier hard work, uncompromising integrity, and always giving credit where it is truly due. The oldest began coding his own apps at a young age, and I made sure he understood every line of code was his to own and defend proudly. One final unexpected twist arrived last year when Ethan reached out anonymously through a distant mutual connection, asking if I would consider speaking at his leadership seminar, pro bono, framing it as a powerful redemption story for his audience. I declined the invitation politely, but arranged an anonymous donation to cover the venue costs, not out of lingering kindness, but as a definitive gesture of closure, allowing him to tell whatever version he needed while the world already knew the irrefutable truth. Harlan passed away quietly a few months ago with no mention of Visionary Analytics' glory days. In the brief obituary, Ethan reportedly attended the small service alone. As for me, I am currently planning a full family sabbatical, 6 months completely off-grid, with Eleanor and the children, teaching them to code under the stars and reminding myself daily how far pure determination can carry someone. If you are reading this and someone once stole your thunder, remember to document everything, obsessively rebuild your vision quietly and relentlessly, and let time and success do the heavy lifting of exposure. Success is not just the best revenge, it is the only one that truly lasts and resonates. True innovators never need to shout or scheme. The world eventually hears the real signal, cutting through all the noise and deception. The tech community continued to buzz about the scandal for months, with articles, podcasts, and panel discussions dissecting the dangers of unchecked nepotism and intellectual property theft in startups. Many credited my story with sparking a broader movement toward merit-based hiring and stronger protections for original creators in the industry. FUII's stock continued its upward trajectory as clients and partners praised our unwavering commitment to ethics and transparency. I used the momentum to launch a major initiative through my foundation offering free legal support and mentorship to employees who had been victims of workplace sabotage or idea theft. Hundreds applied in the first year alone, and we helped several win substantial settlements while fast-tracking their careers within our company. Eleanor and I celebrated our 10th anniversary with a private renewal of vows on a secluded beach, the kind of intimate celebration that felt worlds away from the corporate drama of the past. Our children asked questions about the old story as they grew older, and I answered honestly, but age-appropriately, emphasizing lessons in resilience and standing up for what is right. FUII's consulting firm limped along, serving small local businesses, but never breaking into anything significant. He avoided tech conferences and events where I might appear. The last indirect update came from a former mutual acquaintance who mentioned Ethan had remarried quietly and seemed content with a simpler life, far from the spotlight he once craved. Harlan's legacy faded entirely, with no industry mentions or tributes upon his passing. The visionary analytics name was retired when we fully integrated the acquisition and rebranded everything under FUII. My own legacy continued to grow, with invitations to advise on national artificial intelligence policy and partnerships with leading universities to train the next generation of ethical developers. FUII expanded into new frontiers like sustainable development tools, helping governments and organizations optimize resources for climate initiatives. Family vacations became sacred time, unplugging completely to focus on what mattered most. The children thrived in school and activities, with the eldest already winning coding competitions and talking about starting his own project someday. If there is one final lesson from all this, it is that betrayal can be the catalyst for something far greater if you refuse to let it define you. Build your empire on unbreakable foundations of truth and hard work, and no one can ever take it away. The signal of genuine innovation always rises above the noise eventually. The years following the acquisition and full integration of visionary analytics remnants marked the pinnacle of FUII's dominance in the artificial intelligence marketing space. We launched groundbreaking features like real-time sentiment analysis across global languages, predictive trend forecasting with unprecedented accuracy, and fully compliant privacy tools that became mandatory for major platforms to adopt. Competitors scrambled to catch up, but our head start combined with ethical focus made us untouchable. Annual revenue surpassed $10 billion, and the company culture attracted the best talent worldwide, with policies explicitly designed to prevent nepotism and reward merit alone. I expanded the foundation significantly, offering millions in grants to underrepresented founders and creating accelerator programs that launched dozens of successful startups led by people who had once been overlooked or sabotaged in traditional corporate environments. Speaking engagements evolved into global tours where I shared the full unfiltered story, inspiring audiences from university students to Fortune 500 executives about the power of resilience and the dangers of unchecked entitlement. Eleanor continued her journalism career, winning major awards for investigative pieces on corporate ethics and nepotism, while balancing family life beautifully. Our children grew into confident, creative individuals, with the boys excelling in STEM competitions, and our daughter already showing early talent for storytelling and design. Family traditions became sacred annual unplugged retreats where we focused on teaching life lessons through adventure and conversation far from screens and spotlights. FUII's consulting firm stabilized at a modest level, serving local businesses with leadership workshops, but never expanded beyond regional reach. He avoided all tech events and social media presence, keeping a low profile that suited his new reality. Occasional indirect updates suggested he had found some peace in simplicity, remarried quietly, and focused on being a better father to his own children, teaching them the hard lessons he learned too late. Harlan's name faded completely from industry conversations, with no legacy events or tributes marking his passing. The once proud Grant family name carried only whispers of cautionary tales in boardrooms when nepotism discussions arose. My own journey reached new heights, with invitations to advise on national artificial intelligence policy committees and partnerships with leading universities to develop curricula focused on ethical innovation. FUII diversified into sustainable development tools that helped governments and organizations optimize resources for climate initiatives. earning recognition from international bodies for positive global impact. One particularly satisfying milestone came when a major industry award for lifetime achievement in artificial intelligence innovation was announced with my name as the recipient. The ceremony featured a surprise video montage of testimonials from employees, clients, and mentees highlighting how my story inspired them to stand against workplace injustice. Ethan and Harlan were never mentioned, but the contrast was implicit for anyone who knew the backstory. Family life remained the true anchor. Eleanor and I celebrated 15 years of marriage with a private renewal of vows on the same beach, where we first vacationed together surrounded only by our children and closest friends. The kids presented us with handmade gifts, including a custom-coded app from the Hildest that compiled family photos into an interactive timeline symbolizing how far we had come. Looking back, the betrayal that once threatened to destroy everything became the catalyst for building something far greater and more meaningful. It taught me that true success is measured not just in valuation or awards, but in the positive impact on lives and the strength of character forged through adversity. If you are facing sabotage or theft of your work right now, know that documentation, persistence, and ethical rebuilding will always prevail in the end. The thieves may enjoy temporary wins, but genuine innovation and integrity create empires that last generations. Success built on truth becomes completely unbreakable, and its light eventually exposes every shadow of deception. Life's most powerful algorithm is simple input, relentless determination, and unwavering ethics. Then output, justice, impact, and fulfillment beyond imagination. True innovators rise not by stepping on others but by lifting everyone around them, while standing firm on their own merit. The world always recognizes the real creators in the end. The years following the acquisition and full integration of visionary analytics remnants marked the pinnacle of FUII's dominance in the artificial intelligence marketing space. We launched groundbreaking features like real-time sentiment analysis across global languages, predictive trend forecasting with unprecedented accuracy, and fully compliant privacy tools that became mandatory for major platforms to adopt. Competitors scrambled to catch up, but our head start combined with ethical focus made us untouchable. Annual revenue surpassed $10 billion. And the company culture attracted the best talent worldwide, with policies explicitly designed to prevent nepotism and reward merit alone. I expanded the foundation significantly, offering millions in grants to underrepresented founders, and creating accelerator programs that launched dozens of successful startups led by people who had once been overlooked or sabotaged in traditional corporate environments. Speaking engagements evolved into global tours where I shared the full unfiltered story, inspiring audiences from university students to Fortune 500 executives about the power of resilience and the dangers of unchecked entitlement. Eleanor continued her journalism career, winning major awards for investigative pieces on corporate ethics and nepotism, while balancing family life beautifully. Our children grew into confident, creative individuals, with the boys excelling in STEM competitions, and our daughter already showing early talent for storytelling and design. Family traditions became sacred annual unplugged retreats where we focused on teaching life lessons through adventure and conversation far from screens and spotlights. FUII's consulting firm stabilized at a modest level, serving local businesses with leadership workshops, but never expanded beyond regional reach. He avoided all tech events and social media presence, keeping a low profile that suited his new reality. Occasional indirect updates suggested he had found some peace in simplicity, remarried quietly, and focused on being a better father to his own children, teaching them the hard lessons he learned too late. Harlan's name faded completely from industry conversations, with no legacy events or tributes marking his passing. The once proud Grant family name carried only whispers of cautionary tales in boardrooms when nepotism discussions arose. My own journey reached new heights, with invitations to advise on national artificial intelligence policy committees and partnerships with leading universities to develop curricula focused on ethical innovation. FUII diversified into sustainable development tools that help governments and organizations optimize resources for climate initiatives, earning recognition from international bodies for positive global impact. One particularly satisfying milestone came when a major industry award for lifetime achievement in artificial intelligence innovation was announced with my name as the recipient. The ceremony featured a surprise video montage of testimonials from employees' clients and mentees highlighting how my story inspired them to stand against workplace injustice. Ethan and Harlan were never mentioned, but the contrast was implicit for anyone who knew the backstory. Family life remained the true anchor. Eleanor and I celebrated 15 years of marriage with a private renewal of vows on the same beach, where we first vacationed together surrounded only by our children and closest friends. The kids presented us with handmade gifts, including a custom-coded app from the Hildest that compiled family photos into an interactive timeline symbolizing how far we had come. Looking back, the betrayal that once threatened to destroy everything became the catalyst for building something far greater and more meaningful. It taught me that true success is measured not just in valuation or awards, but in the positive impact on lives and the strength of character forged through adversity. If you are facing sabotage or theft of your work right now, know that documentation, persistence, and ethical rebuilding will always prevail in the end. The thieves may enjoy temporary wins, but genuine innovation and integrity create empires that last generations. Success built on truth becomes completely unbreakable, and its light eventually exposes every shadow of deception. Life's most powerful algorithm is simple input, relentless determination, and unwavering ethics. Then output, justice, impact, and fulfillment beyond imagination. True innovators rise not by stepping on others but by lifting everyone around them, while standing firm on their own merit. The world always recognizes the real creators in the end.